Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel. Today we are doing another paint by number kit, and this one is of Moraine Lake in Banff National Park in Alberta. If you've been there, you'll know how beautiful it is. If you haven't been there, I would encourage you to go there. It is probably one of the most famous lakes in Canada. If you found this video, you probably have most likely purchased this paint by number kit, and I thank you for that, and I thank you for joining me here today, and I'm glad that we can paint this one together. If you just happened upon this video, I make these paint by number kits, and you can follow the link below in the description to see all the different designs that I make. They are $30 Canadian plus applicable shipping depending on where you live. So inside of your kit, if you did purchase this, you should have the prepared canvas. These lines are hand burned in. I use a wood burning tool and burn them in myself. You should also have received 2 paintbrushes. One blue one that is a little bit wider, and then one smaller round one for finer details. You will have also received your paint in different paint canisters. These ones are obviously empty, but you'll see numbers on top that correspond to the paint guide that you will have received as well. There's some painting tips that you can see on the back there, and yeah. The last thing that will be in there is a little Sawtooth Hanger that you can attach to the back if you would like to hang it on the wall. I decided to leave it off just in case maybe you wanted to hang it on an easel, or sorry, display it on an easel instead of hanging it on the wall. Again, thank you for being here today with me. I hope you enjoy this paint by number kit. I hope it is relaxing for you and allows you to be a little bit creative on a day that maybe you wouldn't normally be able to do that. So if you have read the tips and instructions in the back, something that isn't in the kit that you might need is something that holds water to wash off your brushes. I just use a mason jar. This water is pretty nasty, as you can see, because I've done a few of these paintings with that water. It's probably a good idea if I would rinse that out. And then you'll just need like a rag or something to rinse or to dry your brush off with and wipe it off with in between colors there. Other than that, we should be good to go. So we're just going to start with number 1. And number 1 on yours is the top of the sky, and it's this darker blue, and it's actually cerulean blue hue. So I'm going to put a little bit of that down here on my palette. We'll go with about that much to start. And I'm going to use this wider brush just because it helps get greater coverage a lot faster than that finer detail brush. So don't be afraid to get a good amount on your brush there. And notice that I turned my brush, or my canvas here to the side, because whenever I'm working against a line, since I'm right-handed, I like to have that line at the end of my brush so I can have better control and precision with it there. And I'm not saying you have to do that, that's just how I prefer it. And I'm going to give a lot of suggestions, or you'll see a lot of ways how I do certain things, but by no means is that the only way. That's one thing with art and with painting, is do what works for you and don't let anybody else tell you otherwise. It's good to take suggestions, but in the end, I find most things with art are very subjective. If this is just, something fun for you to do, or maybe you create art, outside of just this as well, then do you for sure. Don't let others tell you what to do. That's one thing I kind of live by. I'm a self-taught artist, if you didn't know, and that's kind of one reason I've stayed away from ever doing any formal education. I know there's, when you do formal education and you are forced to do certain things, you can learn a lot, and I appreciate and understand that. But for me, doing art is more of a, I don't know, it's personal time for me. It's not it isn't a job. Yeah, I do sell things and I enjoy that part of it as well, but for me it's, you know, it's not something where people are telling me what to do. It's I'm creating what I want to create, and I just hope that other people enjoy it. Anyways, that's a really long spiel. You don't need to hear all that. But that's good timing here. We are done this first layer, and you'll probably notice that you can see some of the wood through it still. So I'm going to let that first layer dry a little bit before I add the second layer. So I'm just going to leave that paint here. You can just close your paint cap if you want. I'm just going to wipe the excess paint off of this brush, and we're going to move into the number 2 color. We're going to do the first layer of this lighter blue and then come back and do that second layer of that dark blue, and vice versa. So the lighter blue, your number 2, is a light blue permanent. So crack some of this out here. I've got a loose strand here on my brush. I've used this brush for a decent amount of these videos that I've made of painting these kits. And so if it starts to break down on me, I would understand. They're not fancy brushes, that's for sure, but they definitely do the trick. So if you've ever been to Moraine Lake, that might be why you've purchased this kit. It is beautiful, but unfortunately it's getting very crowded. Well, it is very crowded. It is very crowded. I mean, I do understand why, but it's tough when you see places that, for me, it's so close to home, and I would like to visit more often, but it's almost more of a hassle. I don't blame people for coming, but it's tough when you see those places get too busy like that. If you haven't seen my other actual, paintings that I sell in this kind of style, you can see them on my website. I have done one of Moraine Lake, and I've added, some of the bright colored canoes and kayaks that they have that you can rent there. And then it's a lot more complicated and complex than this type of design. There's a ton more of these shapes burned into it. It's definitely been one of my most popular designs. I've done it, in quite a few different sizes, ranging from 7 by 11 to 24 by 36 inches. So quite a few different sizes there. All right, I'm gonna wipe this off. That first layer of that lighter blue is done. Now let's go back here and add the second layer of this darker blue. And you'll notice that now that it's dry, this second layer is gonna really make that a nice solid color. If we wouldn't have waited for it to dry though, then we would have been lifting up that first layer instead of adding on with the second layer here. So that's why I encourage you to wait for it to touch dry in between layers. At this moment, I'm actually in the middle of the week that I've been releasing all these. And this is the last one that I need to paint and record here to be released on Saturday. And it's been a fun week so far. So this is one of the original six designs that I released in the first week. Alright, I'm going to wipe this off. I had quite a bit in there, so I'm actually going to rinse this off as well here. And then when you're drying off your paintbrush, try to dry it off as good as you can. The excess water will water down your paint, and it won't get as good as coverage if it's dry. So try to dry that off as best you can. Second layer of this nice light blue. And I decided to go along the mountains first here, but if you want to start with the top part of the sky, the middle of the sky, wherever you want to start, that's fine. Like I said before, you don't have to follow exactly what I'm doing. Sometimes I'm surprised that I'm an artist. Well, I am and I'm not. There's a lot about art that I enjoy and I understand, but there's also, on the flip side, a lot about art that don't understand and is very frustrating to me. And that mostly has to deal with the professional art world. And some of the things that well, never mind, I won't get into it. But you probably know what I mean. I'll just say there are some forms of art that I'm still trying to learn how to appreciate. Alright, there's that second layer of that blue. I'm just going to take a quick look at it here. Okay. Now I'm going to wipe and rinse this off. The reason I wipe it off first is then there's not as much paint in the water. And I find that, yeah, although that jar of water is very dirty, not as much paint then settles to the bottom. I just find it better overall for me. Alright, we're going to work in the mountains now, going from these further away peaks to the closest peaks. So the furthest away peaks are just a pale gray. And the reason it is a folk art craft paint is because they didn't have a light enough gray that I could find in the Liquitex Basics. But this one still works good. I've used it on a couple of these paint by number kits so far, and it does the job. I probably put too much out there again, but I will see. We got a couple of spots to do, so. If you're enjoying this so far and enjoying your paint by number kit, I'd love it if you would leave a review on the product page on my website or on my Facebook page or somewhere. Reviews mean so much to me. Or if you found it on Etsy or something, you know, a review there. Reviews help other people find my products, and you know, it makes me feel like people appreciate the time that I've put into these things and are enjoying what I've created. So I would love if you would leave a review. This first layer is just going to take a second to dry here. The second color of gray we are using is this one, this neutral gray number 5. We'll be using that on these 3 spots, and then we'll be using just this gray by Artist Loft on these 2. those 2 layers are in. I'm just going to wipe this off. I'm not going to rinse it off just because we're working with another gray, so it's not a big deal. So we'll get out this neutral gray 5. Probably by the time you get to the third spot there, this first spot will be dry. It's just slightly damp here for me. I'm just going to let that sit for just a second here. We'll go in and add those second layers before moving on to the last darker gray here. that second layer is now on. Again, just gonna wipe that excess off. We'll get out the darkest gray. It's literally just called gray by Artist Loft here. Sorry, a maple bug just flew at me here. It's sitting on my arm for my mic. Sorry, you can probably hear that really loud. I'm trying to knock him off here. There we go. I'm not exactly sure where he went, of course. Alright, I'm gonna let that first layer dry pretty good here, so I'm gonna rinse this off. And we're gonna move into some of the browns. First, the darker brown. Actually, I guess your number 6, sorry, is the lighter brown. The lighter brown is a raw sienna. It's almost like a coppery gold color. It's kind of a nice color there. I like that one. So we'll add this first layer in. And then go back and do that second layer on those. lines there. Going back in for the second layer of this darker gray. What am I doing here? This one. Get a little bit more out there. So. Alright, that second layer's in. Wipe this off. Before I go back and do the second layer of this lighter brown. I'm going to do one layer of the darker brown, so that one can start to dry while I go back and do the second layer of this other brown. So that darker brown is a burnt umber. It's definitely too much, but it all just kind of came out there. Maybe it'll be okay in the end. Burnt umber is pretty transparent, so I'm gonna need a solid 2 layers, possibly 3 layers on this one here. First layer's in there. I'm gonna go back now and do the second layer of this lighter brown with the raw sienna. Just put a little bit out. Probably need a little bit more. But if you've ever watched one of my videos, or maybe you've done another one of these kits, you'll know that I hate wasting paint. I think because I started painting as a poor university student, paint is expensive, and so every little bit of paint was precious. I didn't want to waste any of it. Alright, you're going to see a little jump in the video here as I need to take a break. You feel free to take a break too if you want. Anytime throughout this, you can always just pause it. But yeah, you'll see a little jump, and then I will be coming back to start on those grains there. Okay, the last color we will be doing here is our bright aqua green, the nice turquoise color. These last two spots here. Alright, if there's any spots that you feel you need to go back and touch up, maybe add an extra layer, or if you accidentally got paint on any of it, now is the time to do that. If you like how it looks, then you are finished. So thank you for joining me here and painting this paint by number kit along with me. I'd love to see your final results. If you want to send me a photo through my social media, or send me to my email, that would be awesome. And yeah, I hope you enjoyed your time doing this paint by number kit. We'll see you next time.